Okay, so hi everybody. Can you give me a number between 1 and 10 for audio quality in YouTube, please? There'll just be a couple of minutes of me shuffling around on computers as everybody joins. Thanks, Helen. Thank you, Kel. That's wonderful. Thanks, Neil. Morning, Neil. Morning, Helen. Yes. Right. One thing I need to do is turn that out, that off. Morning, Judith. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll get started. Let me just explain what accelerated resilience is. So I've been teaching resilience for getting on for 10 years now, and I've taught probably tens of thousands of people. And the way that I work is through the feedback that I get from what I teach. It's a thing called incremental improvement. Morning, Avril. And the way it works is if I discover a practice, I try it out. I'll monitor it and see how it works for me. The places that practices come from, some of them are ancient, really ancient, thousands of years. Others, the vast majority of them are thousands of years old. Others I discover through scientific research. That hasn't been particularly fruitful, but it's improving the usefulness of the interventions that we can apply improves over time. And the third one is that I discover something, and usually when I do there's nothing new. When I discover something, what I'm doing generally is I'm taking training and practices that already exist and altering them, or I discover something while I'm training, while I'm practicing. And then what happens is the iterative process operates, where generally speaking what I do is introduce it to a group of students that has a fair amount of experience so that they can evaluate it. And so as some of you guys know, some of the things that I've introduced recently, I'll have asked you for feedback, and bless you, some of you get back to me and let me know. And then what happens is I'll roll it out into my training, and throughout the whole process, this iterative process, I then evaluate it in comparison based on the effects and responses that I hear from people, compare it to the training that was there in the first place, and then if it's valuable enough, I'll adopt it as a key practice. And so what happens is there are some of you may remember practices such as character counting, which is a very valuable thing, and I might slip that in today because it's a quick and short intervention. And so there's this constant improvement, continuous improvement process. And where we are at the moment is pretty much everybody, to a greater or lesser extent, is experiencing a thing called pandemic burnout. and that's a combination of, and if you're not experiencing it, some of the people around you will be. And what that is, that's a combination of these three things. It's anxiety, so it overnight almost. A large part of the population's visited with health anxiety, and then of course there's uncertainty, and the uncertainty is often financial uncertainty. So there's financial anxiety, so you get health anxiety and financial anxiety. Then the other thing is that there's a sense of feeling trapped and helpless because you can no longer do a lot of the things that you used to do. I've been keeping an eye on the mental health information, the valuable mental health information. There's not a great deal of it because I think they want to, in a caring government propaganda kind of way, not say things such as that there's a tidal wave of mental health issues, for example, because it's actually not helpful, that kind of announcement. So it's reasonably subdued, but the information's there. And one of the things, for example, is a lot of people who are in work and older are really frustrated by the fact that they can't actually get away, because this is, for many of us, this is our safety valve. When I was undergoing extreme stress and I didn't have these tools to cope with it, one of the ways that I would cope with it would be by travelling, getting away. And the fact that one cannot do that when you can't actually get away when you're under stress is a problem. Okay, so hi Caroline, rather. Glad you made it online. So we have this pandemic burnout. There's anxiety. There's, limitations on your freedom, sense of feeling trapped. And there's uncertainty. And that is not it's not a good combination. I won't go into it any further than that, but just those three things, if you experience those together, then there's going to be a lot of worry, anxiety and stress at the very least, and then there's all sorts of potential consequences, especially as we're all separated from each other and we are designed not to be. So what to do about this? Now, I've got a number of what I refer to as friends now, my students who've arrived today, and you've heard some of the things that I'm teaching. You won't have necessarily heard it this way, and then there'll be new people who don't know anything about me and don't know anything about what I teach. It doesn't matter for everybody. There's a key set of techniques. The ones that I've learned that people are more likely to adopt, it's the softest, gentlest way into a set of practices that enable you to cope with adversity like this. Somebody very wisely and insightfully pointed out, because I was explaining in my usual verbose manner how the mind operates when we're feeling overwhelmed, and they said, so there's a cycle of worry and anxiety and stress, and I've always referred to it typically as a negative feedback loop, but the cycle, each one of these can intervene in your happiness and trigger either of the other two. So for example, a worry could arise and then you'll get stress and anxiety, or you might just feel stress. Most people, one of the things you'll learn is how to evaluate your stress. And then anxiety as well. You may just feel anxious about something. And the what we want to be able to do is to intervene in that cycle in as soft and gentle a way as possible. And we want it to be soft and gentle because we want it to be repeatable, and we don't want to have any barrier to the techniques that we're using that are designed to intervene in this cycle. Okay, so let me just move over to this screen here, and let me, for those of you that are on Podbean, I will paste this in as a message. There we go. So what it says, stress is the body's response to adversity. Yeah, it's a natural response. We can perceive quite easily. It's an easy thing to manage to measure in science. We can measure people's heart rate. We can measure their blood pressure. We can measure the level of cortisol, which is a reasonably simple swab beneath the tongue. Cortisol being a stress chemical, and we can do things like a little memory test. As your stress grows, your memory fails. And as an individual, for us to measure our stress, we have to look for tension. Yeah, tension in the body, tightness. And it takes a while, but we'll have a look at it today. There's another way. To intervene in worry, what we need to do is build focus. Whatever you might think about your capacity to multitask, if you're multitasking, what's happening is your single awareness is moving very quickly from one thing to another. Yeah. So if you're driving along in a car, you're also having a conversation, but what's happening is your brain is, if it's an important conversation, your brain is moving your attention from your driving to the conversation and back again so quickly that you don't notice it happening, but you have one attention. If you're driving and having a conversation and you pick up your phone, for example, to read an email, very, very high chance you're going to have an accident almost immediately, because the brain's reasonably good at doing these two things when it comes to three, unless you've had an awful lot of training in doing just that thing, driving while talking and texting. Don't even think about it for a second, unless you've trained in that for years. Probably you're not going to be able to keep the vehicle on the road. So that focus, when the mind is drawn to worry, that focus, we need to be experts at bringing it somewhere else. And to resolve anxiety, you may have heard about acceptance. Essentially, the way that meditation works with anxiety over time is that we become aware of our anxiety and we become familiar and comfortable with it. It's a thing known as exposure therapy, and that takes a while. But bearing in mind that all of these three are linked together, if we have a quick practice that will intervene in, say, stress, or we have a quick practice that will help to direct our mind away from the scenario that it's created, then we're intervening in all three of these. Yeah, so if we crack one nut, we've cracked them all. So that's what today's session is about. It's just an introduction I need enough time to be able to teach this to a group. So, if there's anybody listening today that thinks that this would, once you've tried it out, thinks that this would be useful to teach to a group, what I'll need is a couple of lunch times to be able to get it across. This is just a taster. Okay, so the first thing to do when we're in a high stress situation, and I know this from personal experience, and I've had an immense amount of feedback from my students. The mind's going crazy. You're worried as worried can be. You're feeling stressed. You're feeling anxious. What do you do? What you do is focus on the breath. Very, very simply. So I'm going to move over to a nice image of some water passing. That's just so you're not distracted by me. Unfortunately, I can't conjure that image up for people on Podbean. But don't worry, because what we're going to do now is focus on the breath. The most useful, most easily adopted intervention practice of all is to focus on the breath, and the easiest, gentlest, softest way to do that is with a thing called the 4-6 breaths. Okay. So with the 4-6 breaths, what we want to be able to do is to regulate our breathing. Now, this is really useful as an entry into even something like a regular meditation practice. Because there you are, you're stressed, you've had a busy day, and you want to be able to move over to relaxation as quickly as you possibly can. So what I'm going to do is I will now come back here and discover that there's a little bit of a technical glitch. Which is inconvenient, but that's not going to stop us. So the thing to do is to learn to do the 4-6 breaths without the visual aid that I was going to use just then. The best way is to learn to count seconds. And the way to count seconds is you count them in your head, and it's not just 1, 2, 3, 4, because if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, it comes to 2.5 seconds. I know, I've measured. We count 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. On the in breath, and then on the out breath, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000. That's 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000 while you're breathing in, and while you're breathing out, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000. And what we do is do that for a couple of minutes. So you're just noticing the breath. 4 seconds on the in-breath, 6 seconds on the out-breath. If you don't like the 1000, an alternative is 1 elephant, 2 elephant, 3 elephants, 4 elephants. Breathing out, 1 elephant, 2 elephants, 3 elephants, 4 elephants, 5 elephants, 6 elephants. Just practice that for the next minute or two. So completing that exercise, the next thing that you can do very, very quickly is to move your focus. Okay, so what we've done there, that practice works largely on anxiety and slightly on stress. So some people it will be the other way round. Nobody's the same, but it's the most universal way of intervening with stress and anxiety. Then we've got the anxiety worry link. And what we want to be able to do, and focus works for both worry and anxiety. So the question becomes, what do we focus on? So the thing to focus on, if you just get yourself comfortable, and what I'll do is I'll lead you into a little exercise where we're going to relax the body and relax the face and head in a very specific way, because I want you to learn to be able to bring your focus to a place in your head. And learn to be able to use that as a way of refocusing away from whichever narrative or scenario it is that's running in your head that will be generating the anxiety and the stress. So if you just get yourselves comfortable, and what I'll do is I'll teach this as a meditation. For those of you who've never meditated before, don't worry. The sound of the bell is only here to help to reconnect us to the present moment. And the way that it does it is by allowing us to notice the tiny, tiny sound moving through time. There's the drumstick. It's moving through time. So you'll be able to notice that as I strike the bell. Stick with the sound. Sound, noticing the passage of time, is one of the most useful ways into the present moment. As is the breath. And the place to notice the breath is just at the point where the belly meets the chest. And yet again you're noticing it so that you can notice the movement of the belly moving through time. And so the mind can be aware of sound and aware of the movement of the belly at the same time as it moves through the present moment. Okay. So the next thing is to bring your attention to your forehead and notice your head balanced on top of your spine. Place the elbows by the side, feet flat on the floor. I'm assuming you're sitting. Head balanced comfortably on top of the spine. The tongue up against the back teeth, gently in contact with the sharp part of the bottom teeth. Just resting on the sharp part of the bottom teeth. And you'll notice you naturally breathe in and out through the nostrils. And so to bring your awareness to your forehead, if you take the palm of your hand and place it close to your forehead, but without actually touching, you'll notice sensations there, tingling and warmth, You put your hand back down, and there you are. You're getting feedback. You're what I call connected now to your forehead. Check back in with the body. Head balanced comfortably, elbows by the side, feet on the floor. Tongue up against the sharp part of the bottom teeth. You're noticing the sensation in the forehead. Notice the forehead as you breathe out. We're associating the out breath with that part of the body. Then the eyebrows. And the eyes. Just for a moment, smile with your eyes. And then bring your awareness to the sensation of the tongue in contact with the sharp part of the teeth. And then noticing the eyes as you breathe out. And the cheeks. Mouth and lips and jaw. Noticing the out breath as you focus on these parts of the body. It's like holding a flashlight, the flashlight of our awareness, our one focused awareness, and we're refocusing it as we move down. And the back and sides of the neck and the shoulders. Okay. And now the whole of that area, breathing in normally, breathing out, like a wave of relaxation moving down the face, forehead, eyes, cheeks, mouth and lips, jaw, back and side of the neck, shoulders. Okay, so now what I'd like you to do is bring your awareness to a place in the center line of the head, so it's between the eyes, above and behind the eyes. So it's kind of as if we're looking into the body a little bit. So what we've done as we move down the face, we've focused our awareness on the surface of the face. But a lot of the feedback you've been getting would have been from tension in the muscles, which are actually inside the face, inside the head. So now we're moving our attention to that place, which is just above and behind the eyes and in the center, between the eyes. And that's got a name. It's called the inner eye. It's not. There's no spiritual connotations within this. It's just a name. And allow yourself to be aware of the breath rising and falling. Okay, so now a little exercise. There's a sense of being in a particular place in our body, usually in our head. If you ask human beings in the West, Where is the center of you? Where is the center of your being? We'll usually point at the head. And there's a sense of observing everything else from that point. Now the thing to do is to make that place your awareness of your experience. So it's as if it is an I that's allowing you to notice everything, all the external senses, and what you feel and think, and you're noticing them all from that place, the inner eye, just above and behind the eyes. And because the brain can do these two things so seamlessly it seems like one, also bring your attention to a place at the back of the neck. So if you move your finger down from the hairline at the back of your neck, you get to one of the cervical vertebrae in the spine that sticks out down there between your shoulders. So allow yourself to be aware of your inner eye and that place in your neck at the same time. That's how you're noticing, how you're aware of everything. And there's the breath rising and falling. And there's sound moving through time. If the body becomes tight, if you notice any tension, you move your focus to that tension and just breathe out as you notice it. So you're associating the out breath with releasing tension from that part of the body, and then you bring it back to the inner eye and the neck, the back of the neck. And so this is the point from which you're witnessing your internal and external experience. And you're just staying there. And you're noticing time passing. Breath rising and falling. And what you're discovering is this is a place to come to provide this focused relaxation. And so what I'll do is sound the bell again. And so if you're the only thing you need to change, just stay with that, because there's more to come. The only thing you need to change is, if you wish, you can open your eyes, but there's no need to. So these, for most people, are a frictionless experience. Noticing the movement of sound through time. Noticing the movement of the belly through time, or any other movement. Bringing our awareness to the inner eye and the back of the neck. And engaging in the exercise of witnessing our experience from that place, the inner eye and the back of the neck. So it's as if the awareness is somehow outside us and we bring it back in again. And that's the place that we bring it. And notice how you feel and compare that with how you often feel, and recognize that being able to bring your awareness to this place is an exercise in focus that moves it away from the scenarios of whatever the mind's narrative has chosen that's causing you anxiety and causing you worry. So this is the solution to worry. However, it's not always accessible. So it's not always possible to reconnect with this awareness. And the times when it's not possible are times when, for example, you're stressed. And that's what the 4-6 breaths is for. Not only the 4-6 breaths, there's a number of other breathing practices that I teach. So, let's say there's a negative feedback loop cycle, worry, anxiety, stress, worry, anxiety, stress. You become aware of it. You choose to bring your awareness to this frictionless place. You choose to notice sound moving through time. Notice the movement of the belly. But you can't. You do the breathing practice. 4-6 breaths for 2 minutes. And then come back to this. For want of a better word, we can call this metacognition, if you want to be scientific about it, or you can call it witness presence, if you don't want to be scientific about it. Same thing. Witness presence. You're witnessing your experience. You're here. It's not the same as mindfulness. Mindfulness brings mindfulness, but it's not. It's witness presence. You're witnessing your experience. You're present. You're here. Mindfulness is a characteristic of it. And so then it's a matter of bridging the gap between whatever stress you experience and this with breathing and relaxation, because that's what we've done. Started off with the 4-6 breaths. That will have cut into your stress levels. It will have had all sorts of physiological effects that I wanted to show you, but the slight technical glitch stopped that. It doesn't matter. You'll have noticed. We then did some relaxation. And if you practice it on a reasonably regular basis, you'll be able to relax pretty quickly on an out breath, basically. So we've got the breathing technique, regulate the stress. We've got the relaxation, also regulate the stress and anxiety. and the focus on the present moment. In the present moment, the scenario doesn't exist. The more aware you are of what you can see and hear and smell and touch and taste. But that we need something to hang on to. So just being here, just staying mindful doesn't work. We need to connect physiologically in a way that also has mindfulness as part of it. And that's how this inner eye focus and witness presence or metacognition, call it whatever you like, that's how it works. Okay, so that in a nutshell is an insight into accelerated resilience. And although I've taken a while teaching this, this is how it works. Going through your day, it's churning away. You bring your awareness to your inner eye and the back of your neck. Notice whatever tension there is, release it. If you can't, breathing practices. 4-6 breaths or one of the other ones that I teach. And then back to the inner eye. Relax. Can't relax. Breathing and relaxation. Then try again. And what we're doing is we're moving from a repetitive, unhelpful narrative, stress, worry and anxiety cycle into a present moment experience that we can actually get hold of. And that's like the foundations of mindfulness-based resilience. Okay, so that's it for the accelerated resilience taster session. Hope you all enjoyed that, and have a great weekend. And the members of the Loving Awareness course group will catch up tomorrow night, Sunday at 7 p.m. If anybody had any difficulties connecting, let me know. I'll make this link available on YouTube. But basically I want everybody to be connected to the meditation course site, meditationcourse.live, so that I can get information to you. Basically, you've got a central place to come, and you can also get the newsletter from the site. Okay, thanks everyone. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Kel. Yeah, catch up tomorrow. Thanks, Helen. Glad you enjoyed that. Take care, Judith. Glad you enjoyed it, Sharon. Yes, we'll be back to teaching in person soon, hopefully. Take care, Jane. Everybody on Podbean, glad you enjoyed it. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Erica and Colin. Have a great weekend.